Newsmax TV's coverage of America Votes 2016 continues with this reminder. You can get in on the conversation and have your voice heard. We're taking your calls all night at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Maybe you've got a short question or succinct comment. We'll put you on the air live and, in fact, may even let you converse and speak directly with our panelists. Again, that number, 1-877-639-7629, 1-877-NEWSMAX. Here at Newsmax TV, we're not here to tell you what to think. We're inviting you to call in and share your views, because here, we're truly America's forum. And now, let us bring in our panel again with the latest edition. And joining us now via Skype from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Roger Stone, former political advisor to Donald Trump. You see him screen center. He is flanked screen right by my old colleague in Congress, Pete Hoekstra, former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, and screen left by our good friend and former New York Police Commissioner, Bernie Kerik. Gentlemen, we're going to go right to the phones out to Hemet, California, where Tim is joining us. Hiya, Tim.
Great. How are you doing? Thanks for taking my call.
You bet. Go right ahead, sir.
Sure. Two quick points. One, I just want everyone to remember, people like to vote for a winner. So if they're going to vote for Cruz and they anticipate that Trump is going to win, I anticipate some people will switch their vote because people like to vote for a winner. Which leads me to point two, momentum. Momentum is right now in Trump's favor and against Cruz and the Kasich fiasco.
Well,
so
listen,
combination of momentum and people like to vote for a winner, I think we'll see something happen.
Tim, two valid observations. Stick around. Let's go to the former Trump advisor, Roger Stone, who knows his way around campaigns. If I'm not mistaken, Roger, it's called the bandwagon effect. When somebody starts to win, people want to flock to a winner. Is that an operation here?
Well, I think it's important to point out that Donald Trump was a winner to begin with. Even before the bandwagon began, people began being attracted to his outsider image and his bold proposals for the country. Look, I think this is very clear. Any place the voters are deciding, Trump is winning by big margins. When the bosses get to decide, Ted Cruz picks up a delegate here, a delegate there. But the truth is, Ted Cruz cannot mathematically win on the first ballot, and most likely not even on subsequent ballots, because I believe many of his current establishment friends like Jeb and Neil Bush, Mitt Romney, Paul Singer, I think they will drop him like a bad habit if he can just be used to stop Trump and get to a second ballot where either the party moves towards John Kasich or some white knight from the establishment wing.
Well, before it gets there, June 7th, the primary out in California, which takes us back to Tim, checking in from Hemet, California. Tim, what are you hearing from your friends and neighbors there in Hemet?
It's a mix between Cruz and Trump, and mostly the people that are voting for Cruz or who want to vote for Cruz, it's all about values, and they identify with that. Most of the people that are voting for Trump just want something different. So the people that want something different are going for Trump, but I think the momentum is going in that direction. People are kind of fed up, and the more that Cruz acts like an establishment individual, then people will go towards Trump. That's what I'm seeing here.
Bernie Kerik, and Tim, we thank you for your perspective from the West Coast. Bernie Kerik, an East Coast kind of guy who knows his way around. I'm just kind of interested when you hear that reaction from a California voter saying this is coming down really to a continued two-man race between Trump and Cruz. What's your assessment of that?
Well, I think that's what it's going to be in the end. I think Trump's going to take it. I think people want a non-political candidate. They're sick of the Washington types. They're sick of Washington or politics as usual. This is what I've been saying all along, and this goes back to what your other speaker just said. You know, people want something new, something different, and that's what they're getting with Trump, and that's why he's got this major, major following now.
For his part, Senator Ted Cruz on the road in Indiana campaigning in that vital state where he has taken center stage, if you will, with John Kasich moving on out west. Ted Cruz had this to say tonight about Donald Trump's victory in the 5 East Coast states.
Donald Trump is likely to win some states, and the media is going to have heart palpitations this evening. They're going to be excited, oh so very excited, at Donald Trump's victories. But I got good news for you. Tonight, this campaign moves back to more favorable terrain.
And more favorable and interesting opinions coming from you as you're calling into us at 1-877-Newsmax, including from Taylorsville, North Carolina, Sam. Sam, thanks for taking time to call us at Newsmax TV.
For taking my call. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
I heard one of your callers a while ago said he used to be a Trump fan. You know, he bought the hat and the bumper stickers and all that stuff. But after what he said about the transgender bathrooms, I think he said he wasn't even going to vote. But, you know, I live in North Carolina, and I've been a Trump supporter ever since he announced he was running. He made me break a promise that I'd made to myself, never again to vote in an election. But I saw him and what he said, and I said, that's the man I'll vote for. But, you know, it kind of upset me what he said about that, but because of that, I wouldn't want to hand a Democrat the White House again. Because if a Democrat gets in the White House again, there's only one way we can get our nation back, and that is with an armed revolution.
All right, we appreciate your perspective there in Taylorsville, and interesting from North Carolina, the epicenter of that controversy about the so-called bathroom bill. Let me turn to Roger Stone, former advisor to Donald Trump. Roger, when you hear Sam talking about this and how he's sticking with Trump no matter what, you've been consulting a lot of people, been in campaigns for a long time. What is it about Trump's appeal that allows folks like Sam to both forgive Trump for statements last week on the bathroom bill and embrace his campaign with wholehearted enthusiasm?
Well, I guess here would be my point, JD, and that is that people of good faith can be upset with these remarks. On the other hand, it has to be seen in a larger perspective. If this nation is incinerated by Islamic radical maniacs, there will be no bathrooms and nothing to argue about. So Donald Trump, I think there are antecedent issues in which Trump has made it very clear, whether it is crushing ISIS, whether it is sealing our borders from terrorists and others who would do us harm, criminals, or whether it is getting our economy back on a footing to produce jobs. Those things are more important than eminent domain, in which many conservatives disagree with Trump. But with the nation under peril, I think those issues are dwarfed by the bigger issues that Trump has personified.
And it sounds like a prelude to Donald Trump's speech on national security tomorrow in Washington. I want to talk to Pete Hoekstra about that, and I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Sam, really, for his perspective. Sam, we really appreciate you checking in from Taylorsville, if I didn't make that clear earlier. Pete Hoekstra, a couple of things for you. Number one, when you hear Sam, and by my estimation, in the time we've been on the air here since 10:30 Eastern, I believe that's the second call from someone who swore they were finished with politics, they were not going to vote, and yet Trump excited them to the point that they're back into it. You and I spent time together in the House of Representatives. We ran for election every 2 years. To see this kind of excitement for a non-politician, is this just the year where all the, quote, political rules go out the window, Pete?
Oh, I think so. For me personally, it kind of goes back to 1992, where I had no money. I ran against the chairman of the National Republican Campaign Committee, and I actually beat him in a primary. All the rules went out the window in 1992, and they're all going, conventional wisdom is going out. But I think it kind of goes back to what Roger was talking about, where I'm glad that Sam's going to stay voting, and some of us may disagree with Donald Trump on one particular issue, but the bottom line is, whether it's John Kasich or whether it's Donald Trump or Ted Cruz, a lot of people recognize that we can't turn the White House back to Democratic control in 2017 because this nation is under assault. internationally from radical jihadists, and really it is a fight for Western civilization. Our economy can do much better than what it's currently doing, and this government is out of control. And so, you know, we as Republicans have so much more in common than what divides us. That's what we ought to be talking about. That's what we ought to be focused on. We need to talk about the strengths of each of the individual candidates, but we also need to recognize the ultimate goal is not winning in July at the convention. It is about making sure that we win in November so that we swear a Republican president in on June 20.
And on that path to November, something happened last week, Bernie Kerik, that I'd be interested in getting your perspective on. You have been one of the leading advocates for prison reform, for sentencing reform, and in Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, the Democrat governor of the Old Dominion, on a very friendly basis with the Clintons, especially Mrs. Clinton, takes unilateral executive action to grant the vote to over 200,000 convicted felons. Your take on restoring the franchise to felons, Bernie Kerik?
Well, first of all, I don't think he should have done what he did based on executive action. I think it should have gone to the legislature, the state legislature, and let them look at it, because I know a number of the senators and the assembly, the legislators in Virginia, they're supporting criminal justice reform, many of them. That being said, I don't think any American citizen should be deprived of their civil and constitutional rights for eternity, for the rest of their natural life, except under the most extreme circumstances. And Virginia is a state where you don't have the right to vote forever. You could make a false statement on a mortgage application at 20 years old, and if you live to be 100, you can't vote for 80 years. That's ridiculous. So the law should be changed, but I don't think that the governor should have done it by executive action.
Well, let me ask you about this very quickly, 20 seconds.